F-18 Super Hornet Block 3 vs F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. Boeing's Super Hornet Block 3 upgrade would be a fairly high-end complement to the F-35C Joint Strike Fighter, Acting Navy Secretary Sean Stackley believes. Instead of seeing Super Hornets as a potential replacement for the F-35 as President Trump proposed, Stackley and other naval leaders at the CAS Space Conference here repeatedly emphasized the two are not competitors, but are complementary. It's not a high and low mix, Stackley told reporters yesterday. That's to Air Force. The term high and low mix originally referred to the Air Force's combination of twin-engine F-15 and single-engine F-16. In particular, he said, we're looking at a Block 3 F-18. It's fairly high-end. It doesn't have all the stealth characteristics of a fifth-gen fighter, all the advanced capabilities of an F-35, but it's an extremely capable aircraft. But, President Trump asked, what can any Super Hornet model do that an F-35 cannot? It has payload, Stackley said at once. The Super Hornet has a lot of payload, and that's a good complement to the F-35, which has stealth and sensors. Of course, that Hornet payload can only be carried out of range of high-end integrated air defenses while the F-35 penetrates. The F-35 can use its stealth to be omnipresent, slipping undetected into defended airspace, where it can use its advanced sensors to detect threats, weak points, and targets, said the incoming director of the F-35 Joint Program Office, Admiral Matt Winter. Then the F-35 transmits that data back to the rest of the force, from Navy. Yes, F-18. Their wings loaded with more missiles than a stealth aircraft can carry in its internal bays. In this concept of operations, the synergy between F-18 and F-35 is a bit like the relationship between a sniper and his spotter. Sure, the spotter is armed, but his major contribution is to pick out targets for the guy with the really big gun. If you're more historically inclined, imagine a late medieval knight going into battle with both longsword and mace. Like the F-35, the sword is best suited to slip through gaps in the enemy's defense, but if you want to pound on someone as hard as possible, you need the mace, that is the F-18. Of course, the respective contractors don't entirely agree with this division of labor. Lockheed Martin says the F-35 can carry just as many munitions as the Super Hornet can, about 18,000 pounds if it carries some under the wings, just as the F-18 does. Then the F-35 loses the smooth lines that make it stealthy. Lockheed calls this beast mode. For their part, Boeing says their Block 3 upgrade to the Super Hornet will give it the latest data links and cockpit displays, as well as at least one unique sensor the F-35 lacks, a so-called infrared search and track (IRST) system they say can detect stealth aircraft by the heat of their engines, without relying on radar. The F-18 Block 3 will also have built-in fuel tanks, said Boeing VP Dan Gillian, so the upgraded Super Hornet and the F-35 will have comparable range. These conformal fuel tanks are more aerodynamic than traditional drop tanks, making them not only more fuel efficient but also more stealthy. However, it looks like Boeing deliberately trimmed F-18 Block 3 down to the must-have enhancements that can easily be inserted into the Navy's existing F-18 when they next go in for overhaul. The Navy already plans to rebuild hundreds of its Super Hornets to extend their service life by a third, from 6,000 to 9,000 flight hours. The first airplanes will hit 6,000 hours early this year. We'll see 60, 70 airplanes a year. That rough estimate brings us to the bottom line reason why the F-35 and F-18 are complementary: money. The carrier-capable F-35C variant currently costs $121.8 million, but Lockheed promises to get it down to $100 million. That's compared to $70-odd million for a new Block 3 Super Hornet, which the Navy is still buying, or maybe $5 million to upgrade an old one. The Navy doesn't have enough fighters to equip its squadrons now, and it can't afford to buy F-35C fast enough to fill the fighter gap, let alone to replace all its Super Hornets overnight. So, for decades to come, carrier air wings will be a mix of F-35s and F-18s, initially a 1-to-3 ratio of squadrons, later 2-to-2. We have long planned on a mix of 4th and 5th generation squadrons. They always have. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.